Hey, what is up, guys? This is Dr. Quaz, and as you can see here, not only is my desk a mess because I've been just rushing to complete these orders for this new 5-inch, which have just been coming through every day now. And that's great, but a big problem is, yeah, you can see this here. My printer, at least one of my printers, is down for the count. 8,000 hours of printing, so gotta give Creality credit, even though their customer service is pretty bad, but at least their product has lasted far longer than what they advertised to 4,000 hours before you would have to do maintenance. But maintenance is exactly what we're gonna do today. Now, there are a couple things that are more than just a repair, it's actually an upgrade. I got a new heat block with a bimetal heat break, which looks really nice. And then I also, most importantly, got a linear rail kit for the Y-axis. I find the Y-axis to be the most stuttery and noisy, and well, it's a Cartesian, so, and there's only one line in the middle, so, it's can teeter if you don't have those palm wheels tightened perfectly. I would like to get the X and the Y-axis linear rail mod, and I know that on, I forget what website it is, I'll link it in the description of this video. If you're in America, you can get this pretty cheap, the X and the Y, but here in China it seems like only the Y is available. Hopefully it will come eventually, and I'll try it out. But yeah, we're gonna install the linear rail mod for the Y-axis, which I think is the most important one. Okay, now really the main point of this video is not to show you how knowledgeable I am on this 3D printer, because I'm really not. What I am though gonna show you is, hey, you don't have to worry so much about taking this thing apart. And since I took apart the other one, you come to find it's not that scary. It's definitely not as scary as I thought it was when I first started taking it apart. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you can grab yourself an Allen wrench that fits to these side ones here and just unscrew on these side ones. There we go. We'll do the head last because then I'll reset my camera up to look down specifically at the head. We're gonna unscrew these wheels at the bottom by spinning them counterclockwise. Or wait, is it clockwise? I always forget because I think these are backwards. Yeah, it's clockwise. Spin these bad boys clockwise, and eventually they'll get to where you can kind of just do that and speed up the process. You can see this is the heated bed thing at the bottom, so be careful, don't puncture that. Pretty cool though. The belt just kind of comes off, but you can loosen the belt up right here, loosen it up pretty good, and then just kind of take this out. Be careful, you don't want to kind of crimp it or cut it. There we go. You could try to take these off, but these are actually really tough to get off. The way to get them off is to find yourself the appropriate Allen wrench and take this little sheath off. If anyone thinks that metric isn't the best, you're just so wrong. Guys, metric, like Imperial, it's, it's great, that's fantastic. No, that's terrible. Okay, now this comes right off, you see? And you can kind of see in here, it's a very simple contraption. Okay, but this will slide out now and up, and there we go. Now you have this off. Okay, so we're kind of like looking at the tutorial of this as we're doing it. So we're gonna go really slow. You can kind of just figure this out, honestly, better if you just use your brain. Looking at this linear rod, obviously this has to be on the outside because this is where it slides back and forth, right? And what's more, it looks like these 4 screws line up right here. But then, let's try to zoom in here. You can see that this is where the screw indents. Well, do they have some countersunk screws? Right here. They do. So it's really not that hard to figure out which one goes where. It looks like it goes just like that right there. And then these countersunk screws go into it. So even though I can't really figure out the instructions, there's no other way that this can go. Unless it's just bad design, and they designed it with countersunk screws that aren't actually needed to be countersunk. Okay, so check this out. You see this here? Where the countersunk screws are, right here, those line up, fit these holes. But also, if you look though, these line up as well, the top ones. So what I'm guessing is that these countersunk ones are the ones that go, they must go like this. And that's a pretty standard reason for using countersunk screws if you need to put something on top of it, but you still have to screw it in. And then what that tells me then is that I bet you this goes like this, or up this way. So you see here, this almost certainly goes like this, and these have these little lips that can grip, and that's probably just to provide some structure. I am 100% sure that's how it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and just screw them in. And here's the orientation. They must go like this. So just think of it like a little T. The kind of flat side with the little nub needs to go that way so that it can grip properly. Otherwise, it will not grip properly. Okay, whew. Sip it with a little bit of this. Very good. Okay, but now it should just, this plate right here should screw right back on, but you do have to remove the palm wheels because this is gonna go right here like that. And okay, I kind of just see how this is all about to go. Let me just get this done as well. Okay, now take note that there is this little screw right here coming through, and that's to hit the little micro switch there so that it can know it's home. So make sure that one's on this side in the back. That does not feel smooth at all. Unscrew the belt and make sure it's not the belt doing that. No, so this is very much so not smooth at all. Okay, so it seems to be that when I tighten down these screws, it just becomes unusable. Maybe this is bent in some ways. So it seems like this side is bowed up and bent. I think it probably is the plate itself. Wait. I found this little silicone gummy, and I could probably shave it to the right. It's gonna be tricky, but I believe we could do it. All right, we've shaved this little silicone pad down, and why silicone will probably be better is that I'm able to, it's gonna have a little bit of a give to it. Okay, there we go, it worked. All right, we did it. Success. Put this back together. That's just one fix. Of course, we got to get all the rest done as well. But in the meantime, we're going to put this bed back on. Okay, once you kind of get them tight enough, I just like to get them to where they feel right. Oh, that feels good. Okay, nice. Yeah, that is smooth. So I can't wait to get this mod for the X and the Y axis. That was a bit involved, but hopefully me fumbling through it all helps you guys not make some of the same mistakes that I made. Like, don't take off the linear rail. It's gonna be a nightmare to get it back on. And if those ball bearings fall all over the place, then you could be up a creek without a paddle. Okay, the next thing you wanna do, because I don't have the linear rail mod, is you're gonna wanna change all the palm wheels. So we're gonna zoom this out here. So we're gonna do this one right here. This one's pretty easy. I like to use this right here. This right here. And just kind of unscrew these. So right here is your eccentric nut. And you're just gonna turn that until it stops jiggling. Don't over tighten it. Oh, there we go. So, no more wiggle. Well, the printer's wiggling, but the nut is not. Okay, so now we got this off, and it's kind of stuck here by 2 wires. One looks like the LED wire, and one is this one right here. Now on the other printer, I actually cut this and put like a JST pin between them. So I find this to be super annoying that they would have it like this. That's bad design, really. You should have a JST connector on it. I don't really feel like doing that now, but I may not have a choice. All right, then there's 2 screws right here. One on this side and one on the other side. Careful, there's a some sort of shim right here. Seems to be like a little shim thing right here. So just be careful with that. I need to back up because I'm not able to focus all the way. Okay, now you can, there's a little, God, I forget what these things are called, but like a little nut in there that you have to loosen up to release it. So now all you had to do that for was to get to this screw right here. Super annoying. Let's go ahead and get to that. All right. Just enough to where it kind of pops off. You don't need to take it off all the way. In fact, you don't really want to either. But this is going to be pretty tricky because you're going to have to kind of hold it. I just honestly sit down, hold it in your lap, and that way it stays together. You just want to replace this palm wheel right here and then kind of put it back and screw everything back together. That's kind of what you need to get access to, because this screw right here was hidden by this right here. I'm gonna do that kind of off camera because it's pretty tricky. So just kind of screw this back in because you're done with this palm wheel. Now you could do the other 2 palm wheels as well, because they're right here in front of you. But I actually am gonna put it back on and assemble it all back because it's kind of easier when you don't have to hold this in your hands. This 1 palm wheel on either side is what stops replacing the palm wheels from being a pretty straightforward repair. So I just really think that's terrible design by Creality. I'm sure they could have found a way for that literally 1 screw to find some way through or something like that to where you didn't have to take all this apart. This one comes right off because the step motor's not attached. And of course you can see now I have access to the back of this palm wheel, which is what's necessary because you got to grip it from both sides. And you might need to loosen this eccentric nut so that it's not too tight. I'm gonna loosen them up. Oof. I guess these screws just weren't appropriate. Okay guys, this part's a lot easier than you think it would be. All we have to do is get some of these surgeon's tools, which you definitely should have some of these, and kind of just carefully peel away the glue on this. This is to keep it from coming off, but then you're gonna unplug these. Then what you're gonna wanna do is you're going to unscrew these screws from the top of it. Then there's a screw, or there's like one of these little tightening thingamajobber fasteners. Still don't know the name of it. Unscrew that. And off it comes. Now, you can see on the new one, I believe this is called a heat brake. I could be wrong. This is bimetal heat brake. So it's apparently a lot better than this one. Now, I'm just gonna leave this as one big unit. If you needed to unscrew this, you have to be really careful because all that PLA gunk and stuff can cause issues. And if you're trying to actually tighten it back, you can't tighten it back unless this thing is like 230C. So normally what you would do is heat up the nozzle, then unscrew this while it's assembled on the printer. But because I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this away all as one, that's fine. We don't need to do that. We can just kind of get this together as a brand new unit. Okay. Now this assembly is really cheap. It's like 10 bucks. So that's fantastic. And it's sold by various different third parties, which is awesome. Really high quality looking. So I'm not a big fan of a couple of the choices that Creality made with the Sprite extruder. Especially the gear for this is proprietary and they do not sell it unless you buy an entire faceplate kit. So you'd have to replace the entire front section of this right here just to get access to this gear, which is just retarded. It's like saying that your tire pops, you're gonna rip the axles off and replace the entire chassis or something. It doesn't make any sense. I yelled at Creality pretty extensively until they ended up selling me two, which by the way, still hasn't arrived yet. It has not arrived yet. Did they ship it? They haven't shipped it. So can you yell at them now? Because now I'm pissed. I don't care if it's from Santa Claus's workshop. Like, I paid for it. Are they doing it on purpose? It's very, 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 very poor quality customer service, Creality. Come on. You make a good printer. I can get behind you in a lot of ways, but when it comes to this kind of crap, it becomes really tough to get behind you. So, you're gonna wanna assemble this here. One is the heating unit, which is the big one that slots in. Bloop. Okay, and then one is the temperature sensor. The temperature sensor is secured by this little screw that goes right here. Okay. Tighten that down and that keeps the temperature sensor in there, right? But as you can see, it doesn't do much along the lines of this bad boy here. This one, that's what this is for, this little tiny grommet guy. Slots in there. And then off you go to the races, tighten it down, and you're good to go. Okay, now that you got that together, you're honestly not far off. So you're gonna line this up so that these are this way. You're gonna take your bimetal heat brake on the back end and screw it in just a little bit. You don't need to screw it in all the way, because what you have to do now is you have to kind of give and take. And what I mean by that is the head can screw all the way up in, but you actually kind of want them to be sort of even. You don't want this to go all the way to that. That's not what you want. You actually have this out a little bit and then screw this one in, and then they'll kind of meet in the middle. Then you're gonna push this in, boop, and tighten it. But here's the problem, is that these seem to max out, these long screws that go through and attach it. These seem to kind of like max out, and I don't like that. I like them to be like tight. If they max out, they can actually wiggle and jiggle. And the way to solve that is by just unscrewing the heat brake a little bit more so that this whole block sits further out. So I'll kind of test it now to see if they're maxing out. Nope, so perfect. So I got it right perfect the first try. And you want to get them pretty tight. Not too tight, just a little bit. Because you want this to be all the way back up against that Teflon tube that's feeding you the filament. And then you're gonna tighten this bad boy here. Okay, tighten that up real nice, and you're almost there. Last but not least, just kind of give this a once over. Make sure that's nice and tight. There we go. Because it's brand new, you don't need to heat it up. to get it all the way up there. The reason why you have to heat it up is because there might be PLA or gunk or something that you want to be liquid so it'll squish out of the way, right? But because it's brand new, you're fine. And now you're done. That's it. You just plug this in, the temperature to the temperature. And the big boy, you gotta kind of manipulate it. Be careful, don't try not to crimp it too much, but it is, it's a tight fit for sure. There we go. Ugh. Okay. And, you know, if you're feeling like being all factory sealed, you can actually just put some of this E7000 right over it. TKO, can you not? Wait till I'm done. I'm almost done. And voila, that's it. You just put this back on, plug it back together, and screw those 4 screws right here that you probably couldn't see before very well. I'm used to my setup being like this so I can show soldering and little items, so it's a lot more difficult to film when it's some big giant thing that you have to maneuver around. I got a solution coming in the mail soon to help me with that a little bit better. Oops, I accidentally touched that, but that's fine. Okay, so put this back on and make sure you reset the Z height and, you know, level the bed and everything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab my cell phone and put it all together and then film it printing what I needed to print, which is some TPU nipples. All right, guys, this is Dr. Quads. I hope this helped you get your Ender S1 Pro maintenance up and fixed, ready to print again. Creality, do better. Thank you very much. Anyways, moving on. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, go over to my Patreon and support me for all this crazy stuff I'm doing. Check out my new 5-inch quad that I've been working on for quite some time, but this thing, guys, is just, I think it's gonna change FPV forever. Oh, hello there. It's at this point that many of you might be asking yourselves, did I just join a cult? It's a perfectly valid question. Just make sure to like and subscribe. I repeat, like and subscribe. Also click up here or over there. Just click somewhere on the screen. It doesn't actually matter where you click. That's the secret.